Mike Gallagher Show on Salem News Channel and the Salem Radio Network.
If you look at NPR, the studies, I think it was 0 Republicans or 0 conservatives on NPR. 0. You have the head of NPR who is an avowed anti-Republican. That is not reflective of fair media in this country. You all have First Amendment rights from other media outlets. You use it. You don't need taxpayer funding for it.
In the ReliefFactor.com studios, here's Mike.
And true to their word, House Republicans voted to pass the Trump White House's rescissions package, cutting $9.4 billion of spending from U.S. AID and defunding National Public Radio and the Public Broadcasting Service. Vote was 214 to 212. It just squeaked by. 4 Republicans, for some reason, joined all the 208 Democrats who voted against it. But look, for a lifelong broadcaster like me, I've never understood the intense determination to make taxpayers fund leftist programming from NPR and PBS. I saw an interview the other day with the head of NPR, and she said, we're not to the left. This was classic. We're not to the left. There's just debate about what the center is like. Because her point is, what the middle is what they determine it to be. So if NPR determines that having a leftist agenda is the middle, well, then it's the little. Then it's the middle. That's how that works, right? Here was Catherine Mayer, the NPR CEO, on CNN this week.
I think it's harder insofar as people don't agree on what the middle is now. It's not harder in the sense of our commitment to ensuring we're hearing from different voices. I also tend to think there's this perspective that, people can be reduced to sort of political platforms, but in reality, when you drill down on people's preferences, they're far more complex than that. When you go into local communities and you talk to them about what they want in terms of economic revitalization, they will recognize real tensions perhaps around manufacturing and ensuring that their environment is something healthy for their children. And so when we do really good reporting, what we're actually offering is the ability for us to hold that context, that nuance, and that complexity in ways that allow people to connect with how it affects people's lives, as opposed to reducing it to sort of left versus right.
Of course, she doesn't want it reduced that way. And incidentally, keep doing your good reporting. Do your thing. Just make sure you don't expect the American taxpayer to fund it. That's all normal people believe. That you're not entitled to taxpayer subsidies. You want to broadcast in rural America? Well, then you figure out how to make it work. There are broadcasters, there are companies. I happen to work for one that do a real good job of paying the bills and making sure the lights stay on and making sure the programming gets out. There are Christian music formats that are swimming in profit, and they're all over America. They're in rural America. They're in big cities. They're in Appalachia. They're all over the country. And incidentally, one of them happens to be nonprofit. And they are like Fort Knox. They do great. They're fine. They keep building and building and growing and growing. NPR can do the same thing. Knock yourself out. Just don't expect. I just can't get over the simple argument that this comes down to. Why in the and you know what it's steeped in? It's steeped in entitlement. They feel entitled to make you pay for their subsidize a portion of what they do. I can't imagine being that arrogant that I would, in my wildest imagination, expect that you as a taxpayer should have part of your paycheck given to this show. Can't even imagine how you get off with that kind of arrogance. It doesn't work. And now it's not working anymore. So NPR, PBS, you got to do what all the rest of us have to do. You got to get out there and you got to hustle. You got to sell advertising. You got to sell tote bags. You got to offer CDs of Luciano Pavarotti at a discounted price. And you've got to make it on your own. That's what the rest of the broadcast world has to do. And for the life of me, I can't understand the argument insisting on taxpayer funds. Look, it would be better for this show if 10, 20, 30% of my annual budget came from you, the taxpayer. The world doesn't work that way. We don't have our hand out saying, taxpayers, make sure you help it work. Doesn't work that way. That's not the real world. And for too long, public broadcasting has not existed in the real world. So kudos to the House of Representatives, defunding, officially clawing back billions of our dollars for wasteful foreign aid and funding the highly biased NPR and PBS. I expect a veteran, lifelong newsman like Roger P. Schulman in the Mike Gallagher Show newsroom would agree with me. It's 21 before the hour. He's here, of course, to report on what's happening with this war between Israel and Iran. We got the No King's Day tomorrow, Roger. But before we even get there, let's talk a little bit about the NPR PBS defunding. You're a broadcaster of many, many years in this business. Do you agree with what Congress did yesterday?
Absolutely, and I even worked at the University of South Florida television station, and they received funds from the public. They had better equipment than some of the commercial stations. They didn't have to worry about paying for things. No, I totally agree that this should have been done years ago, and the fact that they are so biased to the left is a problem too. They should be straight down the middle if they're going to get money from the federal government. I'm glad they're not going to be getting it anymore.
President Trump has a lot on his plate. And as he celebrates his birthday tomorrow, I hope you're going to keep him in prayer. And the man is hilarious. Listen to what he said. Again, perfect follow-up to my Z Factor spot. Here was him joking around about his sleep habits compared to Joe Biden's.
And I may have to force something. Somebody said, who's the genius that thought of that? I said, it's me. Unlike Biden, I stay awake at night thinking about how to save our country. He was much better at sleeping than me. Could sleep on a beach. He could sleep on a beach with cameras rolling. I can't do that. But I had an idea. I gave it. They said, this is really, we'll go short term for a year. Let this guy get out.
Funniest, I mean, look, we don't deserve him. Funny guy, but he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's got the legacy media rooting for him to fail. He's got the Democrats pulling all their stunts, but that's all right. I like our chances, and I feel confident that great things continue to happen in America.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.